It's a special New Year's edition of Game as we sift through some of this year's biggest video games. What's hot, what's not, and even a couple of surprises in store as we count down another awesome year of pixelated pleasures. It's Asia's favorite weekly gaming show. Happy New Year, party people! This is Game. Come all to the year-end edition of Game. Yes, 2011 has come to an end, and what an amazing season of gaming it has been. The year saw some fantastic games being released all across the board, from standout indie offerings right up to some of the most cinematic, big-budget gaming blockbusters. We've seen games that have made us laugh for joy, scream in frustration, or just squeal out in sheer pleasure. So with that in mind, I think it only fitting that we should take this time to reflect on what the year has brought us. But let's get this show on the road and take a look at some of the games that almost quite literally knocked our cotton socks off. Without further ado, let's begin with Game's biggest surprises of 2011.
Counting down our list of some of the surprise hits and game-changing announcements in the world of video games. We begin with some news that's been shaking up LAN cafes ever since gamers first got wind of it. The world's most popular mod of all time is getting a new facelift. This is Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Looking to expand upon the team-based action gameplay that it pioneered almost 12 years ago, the most surprising thing about CSGO is that it will also support cross-platform play, meaning PS3 users get to compete directly with gamers on the PC. Pretty sweet. And when is all this multiplayer mayhem set to hit? Well, the game is already in its last stage of the beta, and according to our secret sources, you can expect to get your hands on all this team-based action early next year. Moving on, we award our next honor to a game. In fact, if they gave out awards for how much a series can be improved on in a single sequel, all honors would go to Saints Row the Third. Long thought of as a poor man's Grand Theft Auto, Saints Row the Third has finally stepped out of the shadows of Rockstar's open-world offering, coming to us as a thriller-minute roller coaster ride through some of the most over-the-top moments in video games. Fancy a ride with a tiger? Or maybe just some Japanese-inspired game show madness. It's all there. With a fun story which never really took itself too seriously, excellent pacing, and some of the most refined open-world action to grace video games, Saints Row the Third was an extremely pleasant surprise for the team, and well-deserving of the honors. Cruising along, we pay tribute to a series that dared to be different and came out a winner. Breathing new life into a franchise which was long thought dead, we present the stunning rebirth of the Driver series with Driver San Francisco. Pretty much the best game out there that no one is talking about, Driver San Fran dropped all that open world roaming in favor of shifting, a game mechanic which allowed our hero to magically teleport in and out of vehicles. Realistic? No. But fun as hell. With an incredible story, exhilarating gameplay, and a ton of content, Driver San Francisco is a wonderfully welcome surprise and easily 2011's most intensely fun driving game. And finally, in a move which is set to forever change the landscape of online shooters, our biggest surprise of the year goes to Valve, with the announcement that the massively popular Team Fortress 2 is now free to play. Now, the interesting thing is that TF2 launched with a microtransaction system that was completely fair, allowing players to pay for special hats only if they wanted to. Now, whether or not the game will morph into some sort of hat-wearing fashion simulator still waits to be seen, but for now, with a huge player base and some of the purest, most perfect, fast-paced multiplayer action, if you don't already have a copy, what are you waiting for? Check those links below and start fragging.
Surprise! Now I bet you guys didn't see that one coming, hey? Well, personally, I think Team Fortress 2 going free to play was the biggest surprise of the year for me. I mean, one of the best online games ever, all yours for the price of nothing. Moving on. Now, surprises are awesome, but when you go through as many games as we do here on the show, you'll know that for every good gaming gem you find, there's always one stinker. And while 2011 was overall an awesome year filled with games that truly did deliver, some of them, well, let's face it, they kind of bombed. So here's our look at games' most disappointing games of the year.
Ah, hype. Such a fickle mistress. One day you're the poster child for the next big thing, and before you know it, you're on a slippery slope, dropping down the charts and fending off accusations of shoddy programming in the wake of broken controllers. Up first on our list of the year's most disappointing releases, we shine the spotlight of Dishonor on id Software's Rage. Coming to us from the godfathers of the first-person shooter, Rage was the trump card in id's 2011 lineup. Billed as a game-changing open-world shooter built using an all-new graphics engine that would blow our minds. What we got was instead pretty much a console shooter version of Borderlands without all the fun exploring. Add to that some pretty bland level design and a host of problems related to terrible textures on the PC version, and you've got yourself a pretty forgettable game. Next up on our list of titles which didn't quite make the cut, remember this stirring emotional trailer? Yep, this was what was used to sell Dead Island. A slow-motion backwards ride through the last fleeting moments in a young girl's life. This trailer made gamers hungry for something they didn't know they even wanted, an emotional zombie game, all about humanity surviving in the face of insurmountable odds. What we got, though, was this. Headshot! An arcade-style zombie smashfest. Dead Island was by no means a bad game, especially with 4 players, but when you're expecting filet mignon and you get a hamburger, no amount of special sauce is going to help make up for the taste. Moving swiftly on, our next dubious honor goes to a whole console. A little over 2 years ago, Nintendo were crowned console kings with their astoundingly successful Wii launch. But there's no denying that sales of Nintendo's new 3D handheld, the 3DS, have been less than stellar, to say the least. With a lackluster launch lineup, finicky 3D support, the lack of a second thumbstick, as well as less than impressive battery life, gamers didn't exactly flock to the Game Boy's latest addition to the family, the Nintendo 3DS, a disappointment in all 3 dimensions. And finally, when we talk of the year's biggest stinkers, one game just had to take this year's cake. Duke Nukem Forever. Truly a victim of its own hype. This game was in development for 16 years. Of course, gamers are going to expect something. What we wanted was a trip down gaming memory lane and a bit of old-school blasting fun. But instead, Duke turned out to be no more than a hastily put-together collection of unconnected levels, and a game which was simply confused as to just what kind of game it wanted to be. A dull and unfunny end to one of video gaming's most exciting and well-loved heroes. Say it isn't so, Duke!
What a letdown. I honestly expected more. But alas, not everyone can be a winner. But something that won't let you down is us. We're nipping off for a quick commercial break, but don't worry. We'll be back with a look at some games that were brilliant without a big budget. And we pick apart every game to our knowledge to bring you our top picks of 2011 up next on Game. Welcome back to Game. It's our New Year special and we're bringing you the best of 2011. Now, I think it's pretty obvious that 2011 was the year for some outstanding independent game developers to really make their mark. And what an impression they left, with games which looked oh so beautiful despite having a less than impressive budget. So, on a platter for your pleasure, here are Game's best independent titles of 2011.
Just like oversized t-shirts and Dayglow leggings, indie games are back in vogue. Yep, 2011 has been a super year for independent game developers, with not only a ton of quality titles being offered, but also some extremely original new IPs. In no particular order, these are Game's top indie picks, starting off with the effervescent VVV. A story all about navigating a mysterious space station where the laws of gravity no longer apply. This flipping indie platformer combines some fiendish level design with excellent pacing as you move from room to room trying to free your friends. Checkpoints are abound, but like any retro challenge worth its salt, expect to die a lot. Playing like an 80s mashup of Metroid and Portal, this retro mixtape also comes with one of the most awesome 8-bit soundtracks that we've come across in a while. So, if you're at all into your platformers, you owe it to yourself to at least check this one out. Next up on our list of indie honorables, time to dig as we check in with our second entry, the extraordinary world builder / RPG Terraria. A game all about making your distinct mark on the environment, Terraria was a spelunking achievement in all sense of the word, allowing players to literally dig into the world to search for precious minerals. But unlike some boring cubic forest building simulation, Minecraft, Terraria was as much a game about adventuring as it was about building. With a startling array of craftable weapons and tools, as well as a dungeon with monsters abound, this pint-sized adventure is like nothing else out there. So if you like your heroes to look a little like they just came out of the dryer, the mini adventures in Terraria might be just the ticket. And finally, we wrap up our list of the best indie games of 2011 with a tale of loss. You are the kid, a stoic white-haired adventurer, and this is Bastion.
Didn't it?
One of the absolute standout indie releases of the year, Bastion is an action RPG with definitely more emphasis on the action than role-playing. But interestingly enough, a lot of the reason this game stands out is because of how the story is told.
Or even that shrine. In case the guy
Narrating your every move with real-time commentary, Bastion really made it feel like you were living out the pages of a storybook, creating a sense of both wonder and awe as you begin to find out just what happened to the world around you. A game truly worthy of the title Interactive Adventure. Our final honor goes to Bastion.
Wait till you hear it.
I can almost hear your wallet sighing with relief. Whew. Well, it's nice to know that you don't always have to fork out a fortune to have a little fun. Okay, time to get serious. It's a hard life working on Game. Many an hour is spent playing games that are not always worth the effort. But there are the diamonds in the rough, the gems that sparkle a little brighter. And so it is with great pleasure that I present you with our list of the absolute top games of the year. Games which had us staying back at the office till the wee hours of the morning. Now do note that because of the staggering amount of entries we had to contend with, we're only picking one game for each genre. So, drum roll please as we bring you the creme de la creme, Game's top picks of 2011.
Yep, that's right. 2011 will go down in history as being one of the best years for the video game industry, with just so many top-notch titles being released. So, it's with great honor that we present our list of the very best. Kicking things off on the sporting arena, While the boys at EA and FIFA did their darndest to impress us with their ever-surprising player impact engine, our top sports game award goes to the b-ball action of NBA 2K12. With a greatest mode, a sort of digital hall of fame made up of 15 of the game's greatest stars, allowing you to play through some of the most classic games in NBA history. NBA 2K12 was like a love letter to basketball fans, not only showing us how the sport has evolved over the years, but letting us play it. Plus, with an improved My Player mode allowing you to experience what it's like to go through the ranks, NBA 2K12 makes the buzzer beater from way downtown for game's top sports game of 2011. Moving on, time to hand our award for the best action-adventure game, and boy, were there a lot to pick from this year. From the seedy alleys of Gotham's Arkham City to the towering peaks of Constantinople, gamers were treated to a wealth of simply awesome action games. But for its sheer design brilliance, we give it up for the unpredictable and devilishly difficult Dark Souls. The follow-up to 2009's Game of the Year, Dark Souls was a title that didn't flinch when it came to difficulty, placing you smack dab in the middle of a dreary dungeon with only your skills as an adventurer between you and a rather gruesome death. Requiring absolute concentration as well as a healthy serving of patience, this adventure made you learn from your deaths as you slowly inched your way through the labyrinth. Oh yeah, and some of the boss fights? Simply amazing. With a staggering 60 hours of gameplay and over 100 unique monsters to lay your blade into. For mastering the triple Ds, deep, dark, and difficult, we award the best action game to Dark Souls. Moving on to something a little more brainy. When it comes to video game puzzlers, my, how they've changed over the years. From simple block-stacking Tetris clones, many of today's best puzzle games are often fully fleshed out experiences. And this year we sure had our pick, with outstanding games like Catherine definitely leading the pack. But, when the dust settled, we had to give our award for the best puzzle game to the hilarious and addictive Portal 2. Now, while the original 5-hour release was a smash hit when it was released in 2007, Portal 2 was so much more. A fully fledged game which improved upon the original in almost every way.
Test chamber completed.
Featuring all the silliness of Stephen Merchant as the voice of Wheatley, shifting from lovably hopeless to being hopelessly evil, it was hard not to fall in love with the animated antics of Portal 2. Puzzle perfection at its best. Attention! Suit up, soldier, cause in the world of video games, no award is as hotly contested as our next one. In a year where shooters reigned king, our award for the best goes to the blistering large-scale warfare of Battlefield 3. Showing us just how it's done, Battlefield 3 allowed for up to 64 player battles over land, air, and sea, all on a brand new engine called Frostbite 2, allowing for some pretty amazing graphics. A game all about knowing your role. Battlefield 3 offered gamers an alternative to the no-holds-barred but sometimes unrealistic action of games like Modern Warfare, showing gamers that a shooter doesn't necessarily have to be slow to be tactical. And finally, one for all our would-be virtual adventurers as we check in with our final award for the show. This time we paid tribute to our favorite role-playing game. And while the year was chock-filled with some truly excellent games, like the mature fantasy of The Witcher 2 and the stealthy rebirth of everyone's favorite cybernetic bad boy in Deus Ex, it should be no surprise that our role-playing game of the year goes to the folks at Bethesda and their vision of Skyrim. Truly allowing players to choose their own path, Skyrim was just one of those games which really allowed you to forget yourself. Set in a world that was as much a joy to behold as it was to explore, Skyrim took all that was good about Oblivion and made it so much better. Excellent quest, a reworked combat system, as well as the re-inclusion of dragons to the Elder Scrolls universe. we give our top role-playing honor to Skyrim. Wusroda!
I'm sure you guys will agree that those titles were definitely worthy. Got your own list of faves? Well, why not check in with the team on our Facebook page? That's www.facebook.com/ESSGame, and tell us what you think deserves to be on that list and why. It's always great hearing from fellow fans. Okay, pee break, run along, but don't stray too far, and make sure you return for our look at what the next year has in store. Top titles that we simply can't wait to get our hands on. Game will be right back. Oh, we've come to the last segment of Game for this year. But don't be sad, because the season is far from done, and what's cooler is that next year, we return with an upgrade. But before I elaborate, we've still got business to attend to. This year we've seen some games that had us on the edge of our seats, our hands itchy for relief. But now it's time to look ahead to see which ones have us biting our nails in anticipation. Some killer titles on the horizon for sure, so let's take a peek at the most anticipated games of 2012.
With the new year just underway, game enthusiasts the world over are looking forward at 2012 with bated breath. With some excellent releases on the horizon, let's take a look at some of the contenders in our list of the most anticipated. First up, a game that fans have been waiting for a good 4 years now. Moving from Liberty City to Los Santos, we dig in with Grand Theft Auto 5. Haven of the rich and famous, this latest trailer promises a return to the hills and beaches of Vinewood, plus a ton of additional content like golf, planes, and jet skis. But don't forget the GTA staple of big car chases and shootouts, the mechanic which made the series what it is today. Looking like a spiritual successor to 2004's San Andreas, look out for this one to hit our shores in the coming months. Next up on the I Wish It Were Here Now list, it's a game which seems to be taking the term fashionably late a little too far. Now, the last time anyone heard from this series was over 10 years ago, but the long-awaited sequel is well underway. First announced in 2008, this is Diablo 3. Picking up from the last installment, Sanctuary's warriors successfully defend the land from the armies of burning hells, but unfortunately are driven mad. So, having been dropped in a tight spot, it's up to a new generation of heroes to protect the land. Due for release in the first quarter of 2012, we can't wait to get our hands on this one. Moving on, this flash piece of footage is courtesy of Prey 2. A sequel to 2006's Prey, Part 2 is an upcoming futuristic first-person shooter. Playing the role of U.S. Marshal turned alien bounty hunter Killian Samuels, we can't wait to see what this Blade Runner-esque title has in store. Boasting an open world just begging to be explored, look out for a bunch of new and unseen weapons and a smorgasbord of characters from the alien underbelly. So stack up and get in position as we get ready to breach the intergalactic unknown sometime in the new year. And finally, to round up our can't wait section, we take a look at the latest build of probably the best NES game that you've never played. Abobo's Big Adventure is a parody game which pays tribute to the 8-bit glory days of the Nintendo Entertainment System. Due for release in January as a free online flash offering, the story revolves around a dethroned game boss fighting through every single Nintendo game, attempting to recover his kidnapped son. Fans are thrown a bunch of gameplay styles like beat 'em up, underwater platformer, side-scrolling, and wrestling to name a few. With too many foes to list out, help Abobo through the plethora of enemy-riddled levels in his quest to rescue his son, Aboboy.
Judging from all the comments on Facebook, it is clear that both you and I were on the same page for those games. That's it. It's a wrap. No more. Not for 2011, that is. But don't worry, we'll be back next year with a bit of an upgrade. Wondering what I'm talking about? Well, you'll just have to tune in next week. And if you'd like to stay in touch as we transition into 2012, then chat with us at facebook.com/ESSGame. Or you can drop us a tweet at twitter.com/ESSGame. And remember, catch up on all those previous episodes of Game on our website, espnstar.com/game. Time for me to make a move, but before I go, they say you can't take someone seriously unless they can first laugh at themselves. So, have a good laugh at our expense. I'll see you on the other side. But considering how good games look these days, whoa, it kind of. Go with me, Kelly. Here are our top picks in this week's Dem and Derby. All it has to be is like whiny. Some great titles there to keep you busy this week. I don't know about you, but once I hear them, I can't get these Sonic tunes out of my head. Till we meet again. Thank you, come again.